What is up, VIP gang, and welcome back to another video this week. So, as you saw in the title, today I just want to talk about some of the disadvantages that are associated with having multiple disabilities. And in case you are new here, I have a condition known as craniofacial deformities, and with that, I also have what is called a cleft lip and cleft palate. So those are the two major conditions that I have. Now, to the actual disabilities, and by definition, a disability is basically just a limitation. It can be a sensory, neurological, psychological limitation for somebody to be able to do something that is regular. It can affect how we do things on a daily basis. In my case, I have four disabilities, and the one that I have focused on for the most part of my life is that I am visually impaired. It's the one that has been getting more attention as compared to the others. And then I think the next one in order would have to be my speech problems. I'm looking at the extent of limitation or challenges I face with regards to that specific disability. So the one that gives me more daily challenges is the visual impairment, followed by the speech impairment. Communication is very difficult for a lot of people who either have their own hearing challenges or just don't understand what I am saying. And the next disability I would list as number three would have to be my hearing. There's so many challenges that are associated with my hearing. I am partially deaf, so I can hear properly in my left ear, and the right ear is completely deaf. And then the fourth disability, which is the physical appearance. So I then come into the category of people with a physical disability. It becomes a physical disability because a lot of people are not used to coming across somebody with craniofacial deformities, right? Let us go to the challenges that I have or the disadvantages of being visually impaired, speech impaired, hearing impaired, and physically disabled. Being visually impaired, having to navigate new environments is the most challenging thing we can ever talk about. It's hard to maneuver through an unfamiliar environment on your own, even when you have a wife team. Navigating mobility as a visually impaired person is difficult. I know in developed countries or first world countries like the US, it's illegal to have a guide dog, but then I've also noticed that even with that comes with its own set of challenges. And then there are people who just prefer to have somebody beside to help them navigate when it comes to mobility and orientation. So it's difficult to navigate large spaces like campuses are so huge, it's very easy to get lost. I don't think you can ever have enough muscle memory, rather, mental capacity or muscle memory to always memorize and know where you are and how you are moving. It's different from when you're at home or a friend's house or your room. You know exactly how to maneuver. You know if I take this many steps, I know that the restroom is to my left. If I if I go around in a circle, I'll find my way to the kitchen. You know, just simple things like that. When it comes to a very big landscape, it can create problems because it's very confusing. You can't really keep track of where you're going. So it's important to have either a cycle person or a guide dog depending on your location. And then going on to the speech impairment. I struggle to communicate to a lot of people. There are people that struggle a lot to hear what I'm saying. It takes people to hang out with me a lot to actually get to a point where they understand. But then again, there are also people who easily understand me when I'm talking. I have people who've never had problems with me holding a conversation with them. It sails through nice and smoothly, and we don't have communication barriers with the way that I speak. But to people who are not used to people with a nasal speech like mine, it's very difficult to decode and encode the information that you're getting because you might hear as if I said something, but then again, I said something else totally different. And this happens a couple of times with people that I'm not really close to or people that I don't always interact with. I can say something or I can ask a question and then the person I'm talking to responds in a way that they're not even sure if they heard right. They just make it sound, to make it seem like they understand what you're saying. It's very easy to tell when somebody did not hear what I just said with the type of sounds they make or their body language or just the unsure answers that they give. When I then ask, did you hear or did you understand what I said? That's when they then say, no, I didn't hear what you said. What did you say? Some people are just so afraid to say, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Or, pardon, what are you saying? I can't quite catch what you're saying. And I know some people get uncomfortable with doing that because you don't want to get to a situation or a point where you keep asking, I can't hear what you're saying. What are you saying? A million times. You want to be able to have a conversation that cruises nicely, right? But hey, if I have to repeat what I say 12 times for you to get it, then it's better that way than for you to pretend like you heard what I said or you understand what I said. So there are moments where I can ask a question and the person gives a completely opposite response. It's like you're in their own world and you just think to yourself, dude, seriously? And then we go on to the hearing impairment. When I'm in loud and dark, crowded places, it is very difficult to communicate properly with people. And it's always so awkward and uncomfortable for me to then say to the person I'm with, or even whether it's a friend or it's a stranger, I kind of feel like it's embarrassing to have to say to someone, do you mind sitting opposite me or to my left so that when we talk, I can clearly hear you. I can clearly hear you when you talk and we can have a smooth sailing conversation. I don't know. I just feel like my hearing impairment is still one of those things that makes me very insecure. There are moments where I'll be surrounded by people who are talking and having their conversation, and I struggle so much to hear what people are saying because there's just so much going on. And unfortunately, it then starts to show in my demeanor. If I was doing something, I stop whatever I was doing just to pay attention. And unfortunately for some people, it comes off as somebody that likes to gossip and somebody that likes stories or liars a little too much. When that's not even the case. Sometimes when I'm paying extra attention, it's only because I can't hear. And let's be honest, we were created differently. Some people have loud voices, others don't. Others have moderate pitches, we can quickly understand what they're saying. Others you have to ask them to speak a bit louder. That's just how it is. Even with me, I have trained myself to speak louder because the moment I reduce my volume or my pitch, if I use a lower pitch, people struggle to hear what I'm saying. So I've learned to speak a bit higher to, switch the pitch up a little higher. That way people can easily interpret what I'm saying properly. They're able to receive whatever I am communicating with them properly and effectively. Sometimes I feel like I just look like an attention seeker with some of the poses I start to make because I'm struggling to understand what the next person is saying. Even with music, I know it's also common with other people. You know when you Google the lyrics of a song that you really like and then you're surprised and you're like, oh, so for the past 10 years I've been singing the wrong lyrics. These are actually the correct lyrics. This is what the actual verse is like. I have so many moments where I hear the wrong thing. I can't quite think of an example right now, but I tend to hear the wrong thing and the one person that usually corrects me is my sister, and she says, hey, it's not this, it's actually this. And I'll be like, oh, okay, so I heard wrong. I thought this person said A, B, C, D, but it turns out you're saying something completely different. When it comes to that, honestly, I am not embarrassed because I know that at the end of the day, it's not my fault for not being able to hear some of the things. But I will say that from medical examinations and tests and all of these, I think doctors have approved that my hearing and my speech are quite good. I think I would personally say that my hearing and my speech are about 80%, if not 85. Yeah, most of the time I hear correctly and I am able to speak to people and they can hear me properly. It's just a few people that struggle to hear what I'm saying, and it's also a few occasions where I struggle to pronounce certain words or phrases, and whatever I said is misinterpreted. And then the last one is the physical aspect. I've never really been bothered with my physical appearance. I guess I only feel some type of way when people start to comment or stare. Otherwise, in general, I don't have major issues with my physical appearance. At the end of the day, I know that I was born this way, and it's not my fault. The one thing, though, that does make me feel extremely uncomfortable, and I wish I could just deal with it and get it removed, is this blessing on my on my right cheek. As a kid, I never used to have this thing, and just suppose that it's a reaction from all the surgeries I had when I was growing up. So I genuinely think that it's just a reaction from surgery. Otherwise, I honestly wish I could get this removed. Can I get this removed through a laser? I'm sure I can do a laser treatment for this thing, but it is so expensive. It is so expensive. I really hope that someday I'll be able to get that laser treatment and remove that black thing. It really irritates me so much. So much that when I get my makeup done, I always emphasize to the makeup artist to make sure that it's not as pronounced or as visible because I look at the rest of my face. In general, I have lovely skin. I love my skin. I naturally have clear skin. It gets better when I hydrate. So to think that the rest of my face has really good skin and then this part, oh gosh, oh gosh, it really just puts me in a bad mood. But other than that, the fact that my ears are different and my eyes are not really aligned, even my cheeks are not really aligned. This one is, the left one is fuller than the right one. There's a reason for thinking that I probably have this ears. So yes, and also my teeth are not aligned. So the physical aspect of my disability is not a major issue, but then I am reminded that I am physically disabled when it comes to relationships. My physical appearance is often associated with a lack of intelligence, a lack of attractiveness, just normal brain function. People just easily assume that a person with a craniofacial deformity cannot operate like any other person. It's as if I'm operating at the capacity of a newborn baby. People just automatically assume that craniofacial deformities means that your brain dead, you can't even get up out of bed, do normal things. They also think I have a 24/7 caregiver, which is not the case. Disability is a spectrum. Everyone with a disability has their own superpower, their own abilities, their own capabilities, despite the nature or the amount of assistance or caregiving they require. You'll be surprised to see that a wheelchair user, a quadriplegic, a paraplegic is very sporty. They've got so many medals and trophies from swimming, from basketball, from wheelchair tennis, from skating, snowboarding, surfing. Even people with visual impairments. Even why am I even talking about other people? Let me use myself as an example. I have a speech impairment, but I can sing, and I love to sing. I am physically disabled, but I'm so into fashion. I know, and I'm also visually impaired, but I know so much about fashion. I know what goes with what. I always look good. If you go onto my Instagram, I'm quite consistent with my sense of fashion. I'm quite stylish. And with the hearing also, I have a good ear for good music, despite the fact that one ear does not work. So never judge a book by its cover. Never assume what you don't know because assumptions are the mother of all confusion. And that is how I'm going to end this video with. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys keep and I will see you next week. Bye!